No longer hide. New Mega Imaging Plus uses high-frequency sonar to show you fish and structure up to 200 feet below your boat and 200 feet out to either side. No more secrets, no more guesswork, just a clearer picture of the world below, down to a fish's species and direction. Because more detail means more of this. Only from Humminbird.
Get your Helix today at crossedindustries.com. Cross Industries, your boat and truck accessories superstore. There's so much uncertainty right now. Where do we go from here? Is our whole world in crisis? Do we just endure this alone, cut off from each other? Even though we have the time to pause, reflect, and concentrate on what's important, we wonder about our personal finances, our economy, our businesses, and our careers. This isn't going to be easy. It's going to be difficult and hard on all of us. Yet, we're all in this together, and we can now direct ourselves, lead ourselves, and grow ourselves. What if we did this as a community, socially distant, yet together? Online, at home, starting new businesses, serving new needs, building new paths. Having new joys, new friends, in a new virtual gathering of great minds. A new beginning. Let's make it together.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me and Ciera on this live cast on April 25th, 2020. I'm just changing positions with my microphone. I'm just going to have to, not having a studio at our disposal, we just got to, make do with what we have. But I believe I'm going to be switching things around here and taking things off stop share. Start video for myself. There we go. Hopefully everybody can hear me out there. I'm going to do a little bit of test here in a little bit. Make sure that everything's all set. And really appreciate it. I might change my headsets real quick. Change things up a bit. There we go. And I believe I can hear myself. I'll double check everything. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to bring on our first guest here on Expandcast, and that is the beautiful Ciera Tilman. We have a great, exciting show ready to go today. And I even have a little something as an intro, but we will talk about what our actual episode title is and move things around a bit. Had to change things up because when I have a guest, I have to use a different platform system versus what I've been doing for the single live cast by myself. So we'll view, present, there we go. So turning a hobby into a business, by myself, Ron Suzuki, the founder and owner of GritCON and White Box Media. and Ciera Tilman, who's a model, actress, photographer, and digital marketer, amongst many other skill sets that she has. An incredible young person who's making moves in the city of Richmond. If you are in entertainment, photography, modeling industry, or fashion industry here in Richmond, Virginia, you may know her name. Anybody outside of the area or globally, we're proud to introduce her to the world and to the community of the GritCON community, and to the podcast as well. So thank you, Ciera. And let me change things up so we can actually see ourselves. There we go. And Ciera, you're welcome to come on board and show your, there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you. Wow, it's a beautiful setup you have there.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, so for the audience in the GritCon community and around the world, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hello, my name is Ciera Tilman, and I am primarily a model, photographer, digital marketer, videographer, and I also do a little bit of acting as well. So I'm a jack of all trades, and I am very happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you. Also, to the last episode, we talked about transparency. So Ciera's no stranger to me. She works with us at White Box Media. But for the sake of podcast reasons, there's a bit of me that's going to pretend like I don't know a lot of the answers to these questions. So, and thank you for the intro. I guess also too, a chunk of our community is a veteran community, and I believe you come from a veteran family.
Yep, my dad was in the Army for 20 years, and right when I was born, so I've lived all over, and I know the lifestyle, and I have a lot of friends in the military and lived near on the bases, so I'm very adaptable.
Wonderful. Would you say that contributed to your ability to adapt to different situations?
Yeah, it was the main driving force. I was very young, moving state to state in between grades, in the middle of a grade. And luckily I just had a really good mindset, and I was like, this is just a new adventure, just something I got to get used to. And it's helped me in every single one of my jobs.
Wonderful. Yeah, but I see that with the long litany of skills that you have, that you enjoy working, you enjoy learning new things and everything. Would you say that's something that entrepreneurs need to have today?
Oh, for sure. You need to have multiple skills. And even if it's 2, you don't have to have 4 or 5. Like, even if it's just more than one, and then just be really good at those skills, it can broaden your horizons, and then you'll actually learn new skills. Just like I recently became a digital marketer, which was not in the plan, but I do enjoy it very much.
Wonderful. Absolutely. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. I tell a lot of people too, is be prepared to wear multiple hats and several different disciplines, and personally disciplines you may not be too keen on learning or too excited about learning. But as you work through the process, you what you weren't expecting to enjoy becomes enjoyable. Absolutely. But the point, going back to the point of the entire conversation, is turning your hobby into business. I started my photography as well, as a active duty Navy working on aviation electronics. It had nothing to do with photography. And I just, something about the spark of creativity hit me with the gentleman that became my best friend, and we were both on the ship together in the Navy, that I just had this desire to be a photographer. Tell us your story about why you decided to become a model.
Well, it's something I've always been a little interested in. I definitely grew up watching America's Next Top Model and all those types of shows, but I grew very tall, which is a benefit. You don't have to be tall to be a model, but it does help. And it was just something very interesting to me. And I was like, I want to try it and see how I like it. And I did a couple of shoots, and I just fell in love with the art form of manipulating poses and angles to look a certain way and carry out concepts. And I just took to it really quick and easily.
Absolutely. Was that a result of your creativity coming out?
Yeah, it's a very creative job. I get to create concepts and carry them out in different ways. So it's not just standing there looking pretty. It's like you have to work very hard to create a certain look. And if you don't make the look, you don't make the cut. And it's just something that I took to very easily.
Absolutely. So and for some of the audience that may not know the modeling world, they may encourage their daughters or nieces or their pretty cousin to start up and everything too. Is it something that's a skill that needs to be honed in, or is it a process of hard work to become a model?
It's definitely both. It's not everybody who has the look can model. Like you have to know how to angle your face and your body. And agencies will tell you, I'm like, you might be pretty, but if you can't model, you're not going to get the gigs. And it takes a lot of practice. It took me quite a bit, and then I became very good at it. And it's something I very much enjoy. But it takes a lot of hard work, and it's not something you can just like, take the picture and it's done. You have a end goal that you have to meet and create the concept. And if you don't meet it, no one's going to want to hire you in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Being on the other side as a photographer and working with models for over a decade, I can tell people early on in the process, I'd never realized how hard models work until I was the person that was there on set telling models how to pose and what I'd like the creativity and maybe even the customers' requirements for commercial or fashion was. And there were times when young ladies were out on a sailboat and it's at the tail end of winter and they're freezing.
In a bikini or some lack of clothing, even full clothing. It's in harsh weather conditions, let alone having to work in those conditions and still carry out that concept in those photos that they want, that the customer wants in the end.
Absolutely. And also too, the posing is uncomfortable. The position can be uncomfortable. You do kind of, in a sense, have to be physically fit. And the best models I've worked with in fashion and everything, they actually had a standard of fitness, and able to, I guess they call it in the fitness world isometrics, hold a position for a long period of time, and the endurance of the muscles to hold that pose together.
It definitely creates an endurance, and the next shoot you'll be prepared for the winter, and I'm like, it'll be cold, but I gotta do what I gotta do to get this photo, and it's hard work, but it's enjoyable in the process in the end.
Absolutely. And that's where too I want to make the discussion about entrepreneurs too, the adaptability, the oh my goodness, we thought it was going to be a nice sunny day, but here comes the clouds and the rain. So this turned from a nice dry shoot to a wet shoot. And on the photographer side, and being a photographer and videographer, okay, now we gotta set the equipment for rain conditions.
Right.
now and whether we are prepared to wear raincoats or not, now the situation has changed. Like we if the vision is still there, it's like, well, okay, we got to work around this. So we create a artificial covering. Do we account for the weather? And then what you were wearing might have meant for warm weather, but now it's cold weather, but you have to seem like it's warm weather.
and how the fashion shoots are set up, a lot of the seasons are in different times. So when we're preparing for summer, all of those bikini shots are most times shot in the winter. You're lucky if you get to go to a nice warm state, island, or country. Most times it's like, oh yeah, she looks comfortable in this cute bikini. But it was really 30 degrees in January or December because they're trying to get those pictures ready for the magazines.
Absolutely. And that crosses over to another part. I'm getting an echo here. I think something just detached. Live video. Be prepared for anything to happen.
Technical difficulties.
Yes.
It's not too bad, the echo. I don't think I hear it very much.
And hopefully, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, anybody that may have some echo issues here. If you can still hear me, then let me double check on the other side too, and see if we can still hear. All right, so that's fine. We're great there. All right, I can still tell that they have audio on their end, so that we're great. All right, another part that crosses over is that you went from being in front of the camera now to be participating in the process at several different levels. So that I noticed, in my local city, you actually appeared in several music videos as an actress, maybe in non-speaking roles or such.
Mhm.
What is a crossover? At a certain point, you were a model, but then you start to be more involved with the crew process. Describe that.
Everybody's different. So for me, I was definitely always interested in the crew process, but I kind of learned skills one at a time. So I started out with modeling, and I was like, I'm very interested in camera, and so I worked on a lot of music videos behind the scenes, and also just because of my modeling and my portfolio, a lot of people approached me about acting work, and it definitely wasn't in my plans. But I have a lot of people who just want me to be in the roles or be in the music videos in front of the camera. And that's okay. And that's really just like the crossover is like when you build really good connections and you have a good portfolio and you show that you're a hard worker, people are going to want you for different things and not always the same shoot, which can be a very good thing. That shows your diversity. And I'm a very adaptable person who loves diversity. So I wanted to learn all sides. So I want to learn in front of the camera, behind the camera, and I think it just well rounds me as an individual even more. And you definitely don't have to like know all parts of the camera to be a good model. It's just a personal interest of mine that I had.
Wonderful. And that's true because just being an average American male and crossing over to be a fashion and model photographer, I end up, because I was, I joined the Navy straight out of high school, almost right after high school, in a sense, maybe 2 years afterwards. And then I had no concept of what makeup really was, or what hair design really was, or what dress sizes really were, or that what looks good to a guy sitting on a on a hanger looks totally different on a model on a runway on the stage.
Very true.
And because I say that because I actually did produce one wedding fashion show, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done while I was still on active duty.
I bet weddings are even harder.
Yeah. So, but it was a fantastic thing. I probably will never do it again. But it gave me a broader, and that's the thing. And maybe as tough as it was, it sounded cool for the first 5 seconds. Oh, I'm going to be a model runway fashion producer. And then after 5 seconds of the illustriousness waved off, I realized how much work this was, and I had to learn a whole new genre.
Yeah.
In the sense, though, I gave me broader understanding of what models and what productions are. So when there was a GritCON 2017, I knew the concepts of event production. So I guess it goes for you too, because as you build your skill sets in the different parts of production, then you start to get known in Richmond, Virginia, in the entertainment, music, video, photography world, and everything in a short period of time. Absolutely. So the process now, I'm going to actually go over to my questions I had right now. So bear with me for a second. And for some reason it disappeared. So now I'm glad I had two screens up, because then I can actually find them up here. Why does it look like it just completely went away? Let's see. There it is. Thankfully, I had the foresight to do that. Look at my questions here, Ron. Okay, so where did you get your training for modeling and for media and all the disciplines that you have?
Modeling, I just learned everything on my own. I didn't really have any help. I didn't take any classes. I just studied definitely America's Next Top Model and just practiced angles and poses inside of the mirror all the time until I found what I liked. And my biggest tip was to look at all the models in the magazines and see how do I recreate that pose. And once I kept practicing that over, I created my own poses, and I could learn how to do those complicated things to create these really amazing photographs. And then with media, I worked behind the scenes with a lot of friends, and they taught me. And I did go to a community college for a film program, and I learned a good amount, but honestly, most of my crew experience was definitely on the job. And I had awesome friends and bosses who taught me. So it was just practice makes perfect, and learning on the job is also my favorite way to learn. And I just kept practicing until I got really good at it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you bring up a good point too, in the sense that I'm old enough to remember a generation where you actually had the big houses in New York City and the agencies, and you had to go through an entire process and everything. Now with the Instagram and digital media, the timelines for education had to be compressed, and it's kind of a good trade-off, is that you weren't this person in the process from the 90s. I remember, I think I even remember the very first episode of America's Top Model back in the 90s. um, that now it's actually, I guess, equal opportunity for somebody that builds the merit goes to the person that worked the hardest versus just the connections they had, just the schools they went to, or the New York ad agency managers that they knew.
Yeah.
So that I guess there's a broadening chance, and I guess from the entrepreneurial side for our audience is to look at how everybody has an equal chance. It doesn't matter what school you went to, or even if you went to school, as long as you produce the results. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely changed quite a bit. It's sometimes people do get jobs because they have those connections. They may not worked through a hard journey like the rest of us, but when it comes to a lot of media jobs, honestly, school can be pretty irrelevant. And most people are learning on the job, and some things just don't need degrees, and you can learn other ways than going to school. And going to school or an intense film program would be great. My film program wasn't as intense, so I definitely learned more on the job. But it's really different how the culture has changed from the 90s and the 2000s on how you became a model, how you got into the career industry, and all that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would be advice you would give to somebody that's just starting out?
Just practice, do a lot of research on what type of model or person you want to become, and also look into some popular scams, because I've been almost scammed plenty of times, but thankfully I was very smart about how I knew people were coming for me, and the certain things they would say I could tell if it was a scam or not. And so you can't be too gullible, but you just got to work hard and practice and take the path that leads you to what you want to be. So for me, it was recreating pictures on my own until I could create those poses on my own. And even with media, I have friends who can do very complex things and edits, and me, I still have to go through my personal journey and start in the baby steps. So you can't get anywhere overnight. It still took me about a year, maybe two, to get really good, because the first year it's just going to be trial and error, and just do some research and maybe ask other people in that career what they would advise you to do, like in your personal community.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a great to explore just a little bit more. And every entrepreneur in every discipline goes through a process in the beginning where there's some good elation, but there's also a lot of times there's a looking up and saying like, oh my God, I just wasted an entire day. Or, oh, this is so frustrating. Why the heck am I doing this? Or, wow, I just got with the wrong crew and the wrong group of people, and I just got taken, either time-wise or money-wise. And people really in American society, they definitely beat themselves up over failure. But one of the processes I want to talk about here in GritCON is that you got to look at failure as like this kind of brick lane. For every one failure that you have, you lay the brick foundation of your professional future as an entrepreneur. And that's that resilience and that grit of, okay, let's just keep on going, work hard, learn from mistakes, and keep on putting one foot in front of the other type of thing. As difficult and as long as it may be, it may take a few years, it may take 10 years, but if you want to do this, turn your passion into a business, be prepared to take a long road or hard road to make that happen. But at the end of the day, both you and I guess we could say we were successful model / successful photographer. Isn't it very rewarding to be on the other side of that discipline process?
It is like, it does get so much easier once you've gotten through the beginning stages and learning how to do certain things, and also getting through those really hard phases. And then you're like, wow, like it's definitely rewarding when you get to do what you love and you become very good at it, and people appreciate that talent of yours as well.
Absolutely. And we're gonna, compared to other podcasts or anything too, we're not gonna fluff things up. I remember in 2010 looking at a Department of Labor study about modeling and seeing that only 2% of all models across the board in America make over $10,000 in a year.
Not too surprising.
Or actually less than 2%. I was like 1%. So does that sound about right?
It does. It's definitely hard. Being on your own, you can get a lot of jobs, but at the end of the day, it's hard. I don't know many models that have made over 10 grand. I've definitely made under 10 grand every year. And then having an agency can definitely help, but then you have to find the right agency that's not going to scam you. And you also want to be on their radar, not be on their list that they don't look at. So it's really hard to burst through that level to where you're making more than that. But that's why I have multiple careers, is because I love modeling so much, and I would love to do it full time, and I would like to one day for sure, but it's a very hard process to get through. But at the same time, it's still very rewarding to do it, even if I am making less than 10 grand a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, I actually, in this pandemic, I'm looking back at my old paperwork that I need to shred from like 10 years ago. And I found this like bank statement. I took the time to actually write down all the income in 2010 from my photography. And I was excited. I was happy to see it was $9,723. I'm like, yes. And I was part-time. It was my real first year in photography. And I even had a photography studio and everything. I was like, wow, like I'm proud of that. Maybe before I would cry over that, but I'm proud of that, and where I'm at today. And just so the crowd knows, White Box Media is a six-figure company off of the foundational work of creatives like Ciera and myself and Michael from the past 10 years. So it's a great process to see the other end of this, and I'll let you know, over a period of time you can do it. It is possible to get paid in your passion if your passion has a real need. There will, and especially here in 2020, in addition to the pandemic, whichever, pandemic or not, visual media is getting a lot of eyeballs.
It really is.
Actually, I'm going to say it's even more so during the pandemic, because now the access to visual media is getting slimmer. There's no new visual media. There's no new movies being made. There's no new TV shows coming out or being made. So in that sense, it's dependent on a community of visual content creators or audio content creators, whichever, to produce even more material to help the economy along.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an easy agreement on that. Let me take a look at my next set of questions. I only have one more set. All right, so here we go into, this can go a whole bunch of different ways. There's no right or wrong answer for this. Your opinion of a competitive market, because, and I'll just preface this, if you start off as even in 2009, when I started off as a photographer, it was competitive in a town that I started in Virginia Beach, where the military base was. Competition is fierce in the photography, any major city, even a small town in America. Competition is fierce as a photographer. Competition has always been fierce, where you're in the 1960s or now, for modeling. So what's your opinion of entering a highly competitive market?
You just gotta be really prepared to have a tough time. But it can be so rewarding in the end. It's definitely very, very competitive in photography, modeling, digital media, because it's sometimes a little hard to get your voice out there and be heard like everybody else. So some people have more access to being heard and some don't. When it comes to modeling, you've got to have thick skin. There's a lot of things you've got to learn, whether it is to what kind of model you want to be, avoiding scams, deciding if an agency is right for you or not, because it can be very hard because agencies have such good models in this one category that it can sometimes be a little tougher, and you need to find something that makes you stand out and be unique. So whether you're only a fashion model, or you're the best runway model, or you're a great swimsuit model, you need to find your niche. And you can definitely travel amongst different like genres of modeling or photography, but you got to be prepared that it's kind of an uphill battle the entire time, but at the same time it's an enjoyable uphill battle. Not everybody can make it because it is really tough and can be very hard on your mental state trying to be the best at all times, but it really depends on what path you want to go. And I like the competitiveness because sometimes it's very rewarding where you have all these people and the clients chose you because they love your style, they know you're a great worker. And so at the end of the day, it's very rewarding for me personally.
Absolutely. That is incredible. I love this conversation. This is some people get this concept of maybe stereotypical, our models are just gonna do that big beauty queen thing and just say, yes, I want to save the pandas and stuff. But no, you definitely there's an intelligence behind what you're saying, and it's a strategy that you have. And just like any entrepreneur, you should have a strategy, you should have a game plan, you should have, alternate routes. You should have, in case this happens, which way do I turn this way? And that's the thing. You got to approach every discipline with an intelligence and strategy to it, not just, I'm just going to keep on running towards the brick wall. Okay, well, there's other ways around the brick wall. Is there other ways that I can get known? If helping on set at all the small time productions happens, then when the big crew from say Showtime comes into town and they need more hands and more bodies to help with a major TV show production, who are they going to look around and talk to? Right? So
very true.
Which is, I say that because that's happened in Richmond. The small independent film community got to participate in a major TV series. I believe it was Showtime. I could be wrong. One of the paid networks. For their ongoing TV series, and they filmed the entire TV series over 4 years here in our town. So that's definitely something that find ways to do that. And so it brings me to the next point and next question and I got to preface this again. As an entrepreneur or model or photographer or anybody starting a business or early on in the business process, you have this openness. You got to put yourself out there to a lot of people. Open marketing, I guess you could say. Hey, hello, I am a model. I am a photographer. Hey, hello, I am a digital marketer. Hello, I am the person that just opened a tire shop. Whatever it might be, right? You have this openness, but at the same time, even though you have this openness, what comes through the door, do you feel that you have to be selective?
Yeah, in the beginning, you definitely want to be very open to see what your genre really is and what you are best at or what you just want to become the best at. But once you start figuring that out, you definitely want to be a little more strict about what you let through the door, because at the end of the day, it's going to be reflecting your portfolio, whether you choose certain jobs or not. We're all going to take jobs we don't care for, but sometimes they can advance us. But once you're in that category where you're well known or people know you do good work, there's no sense in doing certain shoots or jobs that don't advance you or better your career, your portfolio. So I definitely had to be very picky later on once I got really good, because a lot of people wanted to do shoots with me, but I only want to do certain types of fashion shoots. I don't want to do family photo shoots or senior photo shoots where it's just jeans and a jacket. It's like, it's not really my thing. And you also have to be picky because not everyone's editing style is going to be good for your portfolio either.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely true, definitely in our content creation space. What would you say also too, and this is, maybe it's easy for you to answer this, but it's difficult for a male on a podcast to ask this question of a female. And it's, as a photographer, I guess I got more leeway to ask this question. But what is your suggestion on any kind of sexualization or over sexualization of a modeling career?
It's very difficult. My biggest issue is that a lot of agencies want very young underage girls so that they can develop them and make them supermodels and make a lot of money. That's great, but I am very happy I didn't start modeling until I was about 20.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the self-esteem or the confidence or the grit to get through it, because these girls, their self-esteem is trash because they're children, and agencies are putting them through really intense shoots, and then soon they're put in overly sexualized suits, but they want these young girls because, oh, we want these certain facial features, we want to develop them. But my biggest issue is that they sexualize too many young girls and young men, and they're not even of age yet, and that can really mess with their heads and also let predators in, and then there are a lot of predators in the modeling industry. So my biggest problem is definitely like there's too many underage models doing shoots that they shouldn't be doing, and they should really let adults be doing certain mature or risque shoots.
Absolutely, I understand that. That's where we see, I guess it's very prevalent in our entertainment culture to see TV shows and movies about childhood stars, or even if it's just TV shows, they have this, there's almost like this stereotypical like timeline of a young star, let's say, we'll just say a public name so we don't get in trouble, Justin Bieber or something, right?
Yeah.
So he was extremely young when he got to, it had nothing to do with sexualization of modeling or anything, but just to hit that much success and that much stardom that quick, and then dealing with the rest of life as an adult and knowing that was your better days behind then, or the repercussions of, in this case, sexualization of your image and your branding early on, and you didn't have the mature head about it to choose what you wanted to choose for yourself.
And it's very hard because like a lot of these models they don't feel like they can stand up for themselves because they are kids, and then sometimes the agencies will take the kids without parents and be like, oh, we'll watch them for you, but then they're put into these pressurizations where they're like not feeling comfortable to say no and say, I don't want to do this. And Justin Bieber, he had actually recently released a documentary, and I always saw an article about it, but he really talks about how hard it was on his mental health being a star way too young. And the same thing goes into modeling. You hit that fame really young, and everybody expects something of you, and you can't have that anymore because that was when you were 12, 14, 16, 18. And it really takes a blow to self-esteem and can create a lot of issues because you don't know whether to be that person you were forced to be at underage or develop, and then you have lots of repercussions, and it's really hard for childhood stars, way too many young models, because they just are put into all these situations that just can damage their mental health.
And that's absolutely true in the entrepreneurial world too as well. I knew a gentleman here in our area. I would never mention his name on the air, but he is very young, and he got into the real estate game, and in a very short time, I swear it was less than 12 months, he got up to $2.6 million. And he had people like myself and some people advising him is like, hey, hold on a second. That's great. That's great what you're doing, but you have to manage and police and watch the process carefully and add a lot of operational management pieces to it if it involves other people in a team. Because you went from, hey, hello, to boom, I now manage this entire big process. And he had the immaturity to maybe not listen to that, or maybe he had too many choices. I'm not going to blame, just his own process too. Or maybe it's too many choices to think, I got this down. And then he ended up losing it all, So, and even more so, he's even negative now. So there's a process where you do want to maybe listen to the maturity. And I think also too, I think I said it in the header of this too, of maybe the header of last podcast, I said community, right? you should go into any process knowing that this is not a one woman, one man fight.
Mhm.
You should have some kind of trusty advisor that's maybe strong in weak spots where you are. Did you have anybody on your side, going through the process that maybe helped you through it or anything?
Not really. I was honestly pretty alone.
Uh-huh.
And luckily, I have a very strong mindset, and I had the confidence when I was 20 and not underage to know, certain things weren't for me. I had to learn to say no a lot because a lot of people aren't going to respect your boundaries. And I didn't really have anyone to guide me. And I've seen lots of people in my area who don't reach out or don't have anyone to guide them, and they make a lot of mistakes, and you're gonna make mistakes. But I can see, and I've messaged people, I'm like, hey, don't do this, this is a scam. I was like, you should never pay to be part of an agency. Not how that works. And these people are going to take advantage of you because you don't know any better. So that's why it's very good to reach out to people around you in your field. Say, hey, how is it for you starting out? Or is there anything I should watch out for? And although I was kind of more so alone and didn't know how to reach out, or my situation was a little different, I definitely recommend any entrepreneur or person in the field to reach out to other people, because what might sound like a great opportunity might be a huge scam. And you just gotta pick your battles and learn through them. I've definitely been scammed a couple times, but you can always say no and cut out in the middle if it's getting dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's been horror stories in even our circuit in a city, and even especially in LA and New York with the Me Too movement. I mean, that has happened recently in the last few years. The repercussions of that are horrible for what happened for those young ladies and even young men. Let's be honest about that. It's actually happened to young men as well. But now there's safety factors in the industry now. Now there's a because the public was shock and awe about what happened with Me Too movement. And if you need to, I actually found out about Me Too movement a little bit late because I was too busy building a business. I had to ask my friend, what the heck is Me Too? I thought that was something. No, it's really about this. So when I started working with the actress last year before you came on, they both explained to me what Me Too was really about. I'm like, oh, okay. I've been so busy building a business, I didn't know what it was about.
It's a big, we're not all in the media and we don't hear about, but it's definitely a really good push because there's a lot of predators in each industry, and the photographer and the model industry and any entrepreneur industry. There's tons of entrepreneurial scams when you're trying to start your own business in a completely different field, which I'm sure you know about too.
Yeah, absolutely. I got taken. My Me Too was very different business wise, and I don't even want to go anywhere close to the community, because the repercussions of a young lady being stuck in a position in a foreign city where she has no money to get back home and stuck with some executive that's making decisions over her being in a movie or a photography job or whatever, and then a sexual favor, and it's like rape. It's basically what it is. And it is rape. And nowhere do I even want to go and say that I got taken for a lot of money by these scammers, but I was able to recover. There's something I can just I recover from that. It was horrible when I went through it. I lost a lot of money, but I can recover, and just numbers are numbers. I can recover with numbers. You can't recover from the emotional, the attack that happened to you when it came to rape,
Like it's very hard in each industry. So there's lots of entrepreneurial scams where there's the financial, and there's definitely some more unfortunate entrepreneurial scams if you are trying to meet with an executive and something gets taken the wrong way and people disrespect boundaries. And then being a model and photographer is really hard, because I have lots of model friends who have gone through unfortunate scenarios because there are predators out there. So you definitely want to bound together with the community, get friends in your field so that you're stronger together and you can be aware if there's scam artists or predators in your area.
Absolutely. And that's another thing that gave me confidence as a young person in the military, because I was not a physically fit person before I joined the military, but 6 months beforehand, I did everything possible to be physically fit. And I remember this thing where you see Navy SEALs do it too. They lock arms with the other guy next to them and and they do sit-ups together type of thing. I was like, oh my God, it's so much better than me doing it by myself.
Exactly.
But when you have that arm lock with other people, and maybe in the model community or photography community or any entrepreneurial community, you do kind of feel more protected with this wall of other people with you, you know.
For sure.
And anybody that any body of people that does that. What do you recommend to somebody maybe even older than yourself who wants to become an actress or wants to break into film, maybe even cinematography or photography or the creative arts, or maybe they're a great painter or a musician or something? What would your recommendation be?
It's never too late to start something that you love or have interest in. So
Mhm.
even though I'm very young, there are definitely times like, I mean, I started modeling at 20, I got really good around 21, 22.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it was hard because everyone in the modeling industry is telling you you're too old.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now I'm about to be 25, and it's just
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
you know, I don't care what they say. I'm going to keep doing what I love.
Mhm.
And it's a little easier in other industries, but
Mhm.
even in cinematography and photography and lots of other industries, you can definitely always start it. When I took classes at community college, I had quite a few older friends who were just starting into the film industry.
Mhm.
And the film industry is, I think, one of the easier ones to get into because
Mhm.
if you're wanting to start in lighting, sound, or the camera, there's not really too much of a prejudice against age. It's a little hard in gender, but that is getting better throughout the community. And just practice, find people in your community of different ages and your age, because it can be very helpful, and it's just never too late to start doing what you really want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, that's incredible. I love this. This was way more value. I mean, I work with Ciera almost on a daily basis, and I really feel like I'm getting to know her all over again. So this is incredible. Let's see. Last question I have for you, then, in that case, is since we're running out of time, where do you want to go with your media career now? I mean, I say media because you hit all these disciplines now.
Yeah. um, well, I just want to become an entrepreneur, have my own business,
Mhm.
and right now I am working a couple jobs. So I'm still working a retail job
Mhm.
along with all my media jobs, but
Mhm.
the goal is definitely to only do media, create content that I want to create.
Yeah.
But in doing that is I travel into different genres to see if I like something better, or there's certain things that will advance my techniques when I go back to my personal genre that I really like. So
Yeah.
really just wanting to become full-time model, full-time videographer, content creator,
Yeah.
and really doing what I love and living a financially stable life off that.
Absolutely, yeah. It's another thing to be in the creative arts or creative entrepreneurism, and you are a business owner. You have maybe 1099 agreements with multiple companies, but you still count as self-employed entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, um, but it is a rough road as creative to try to make money. It's the conundrum of Western society, at least in the modern age, is like if you ever tell your mom and dad, "Mom, Dad, I want to be an artist," or a singer or a musician or painter or model or photographer, like, oh, it's, especially for maybe immigrant families,
Hard
like,
road.
yeah. A lot of immigrant families, if you're Vietnamese or Indian or
Yeah.
Pakistani or something, like, no, son, we came here to America for you or daughter to be a doctor or lawyer. We didn't come here for you to explore your creativity. And it's like, no, Dad, I want to be a photographer,
Sure.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you can always do
Yeah.
both until that
Yeah.
creative outlet soars. And you
Yeah.
can also devote 24/7 of your time to
Mhm.
creative, and it might come up faster.
Yeah.
Everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
I'm still working retail,
Yeah.
and slowly I've been working less and less so I can
Mhm.
work my media jobs more.
Yeah.
So it's possible no matter how old you are, what gender you are,
Yeah.
and you just gotta keep on pushing even if it gets really hard. And
Yeah.
eventually, like, you can have that creative career. You can be a full-time painter, videographer, entrepreneur, business owner
Yeah.
without having a corporate job to keep you afloat. It's definitely possible, but you have to take that step forward first in order to even get to the goal.
Absolutely. Well, this is incredible. I love this. I'm thankful that you're gonna be the host interviewing other people, because
Yeah.
this is way better than I thought it would be. Every time you do a process of White Box Media or GritCon, you just go further beyond the expectations. So,
I try.
all right. Well, we're gonna stay online. Stay online. We're gonna go ahead and talk about this here next. I'm gonna switch screens here and go here. And we're gonna skip all the way over to the end. Oh, here. This is basically questions. All right, here we go. So what's next for GritCon Expandcast? And we were like maybe 5 minutes or already over what our usual episode is, but that's fine because we had a great time with this. And there is no limit, by the way, to these podcasts and everything. I try to stay beholden to my own standard of timing, but if we go over, we go over. So what's next? Okay. Well, first, please follow Ciera. Oh, and if I'm missing any one of these, let me know. Facebook.com/Ciera the model, and then Instagram.com Ciera Lynn LYN, and Ciera spelled CIERA. So it's Ciera the model on Facebook and Ciera Lynn on Instagram. And I believe last time I checked, you're almost at 4,000 followers on Instagram. And it's great to see your career moving and be a part of the process to help your career along. So for GritCon Expandcast in general, we got more interviews like this with a specialist in any field it might be. For example, accounting, we got a great person coming up for that. We got some great digital marketers. We got some great specialists, big business owners. You name it, we're probably going to have them and be able to answer your questions. So I like for this community to be able to ask questions. If you're on these video platforms, please take time on your comments and ask questions. And when it comes to, if you're on the podcast, go ahead and follow us at I believe it's gritconevents.com/gritcon2. Sign up with your email address so that you can get into the community, and then you can actually send email questions and everything into your newsletter that's coming here soon. So we have more sponsors in store as well. But thank you to our three main sponsors right now, not only White Box Media, the company that Ciera and I work in, but also BMC Accounting LLC. And if you were able to catch the very front end of this video cast, both audio and visual, you saw a little commercial from crossindustries.com, the leader when it comes to auto, truck and boat accessories. There's a little graphic down here at the bottom. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Oh, and then the next slide over. Oh, not this one. All right, so I'm sorry, here's the URLs again. So let's make it together. Support this podcast at anchor.fm/GritCon and create a donation, monthly donation, because we could use the help, even if it's 99 cents a month. And stay tuned on Facebook and YouTube. We are now on iTunes. I was excited yesterday to talk about it. We are officially on iTunes, and I was surprised to see that list on iTunes is a lot smaller than I thought it was. So somehow we got through. Our little ragtag group of people doing business from home got onto iTunes. So thank you everybody over at Apple and Anchor for working through that process. I'm sure it wasn't easy to get these newbies onto that platform. In addition to Spotify, join us on Spotify if you're on that. If you have a phone with both, thank you, because you can join us either which way. So get an early jump from information. Again, gritconevents.com/GritCon2. And I look forward to hearing from some of you. And I'm going to shut this graphic down and get to thanking Ciera for her time and energy. Absolutely. And thank you for joining this videocast and podcast. And we'll see you next time on GritCon Expandcast. Take care.